and welcome back. This is the very last episode of The Sims 4 Star Wars Journey to Batuu. So, today we're doing something a little bit different. So, I've kind of written down all of my final thoughts on the pack, so I'm going to be covering what I thought about Create a Sim, Build and Buy, the world, the gameplay, and just a couple other extra things, and if I'd recommend buying the pack or not. So, yeah, I don't know. I've also got some stuff playing for you in the background, so you'll see that. It's just kind of like The Sims doing their business, and, you know, it's the Star Wars family, and they've got some fun little stuff there, so, I don't know, pay attention. I also, I threw in there quickly, it was, oh gosh, I've forgotten her name already. Look, I was playing, like, literally this morning, and I've forgotten her name. Ash? Yes, Ash. Ash got abducted by aliens. I'm like, they're trying to take her back already. Oh no. Okay, but let's get like right into this review. So before I do get talking about the review, I'm like, let's get right in. But before I start, I just want to say if you've not seen my Star Wars series, one, you can check it out, but two, I'm not actually a big Star Wars person. I saw the movies, the original movies, about 15 years ago when I was like 12. So I'm not up to date with like who this Kylo Ren is that they talk about in the trailer, or Rey. I don't know who they are. They don't mean anything to me, so I don't have that like emotional attachment to them. And, I mean, obviously, I liked the movies when I was 12, so I'm not, like, anti-Star Wars, but I don't have that. I'm not a big Star Wars fan. Like, it's just not my thing, you know? Like, if they did a movie, like not a movie, a Sims pack about Sailor Moon or something, I'll be like, yes, but, like, yeah, no. Not so much about the Star Wars. I'm not, like, a huge fangirl. But anyway, so I wanted to say that because, like, I feel like that probably would be reflected in my gameplay and review and thoughts of the pack, because I don't have that pre-existing emotional attachment to these characters and stuff like that. So, yeah. But anyways, it's probably a good thing, because that means I'm looking at it quite objectively. So, there we go. So, I'm going to start with Create a Sim, because that's where I normally like to start. I feel like, I don't know, as soon as I get a new pack, I always go into Create a Sim, so it just feels right to start the reviews there. So, I quite like the items that we got in Create a Sim, but I feel like they don't really have much, like, usability outside of Batuu, because there's a lot of, like, I don't know, they're just very, I mean, they might have some usability, but not much. Like, I did put one of my Sims in one of the shirts the other day, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of cute for, like, a hippie kind of vibe, but other than that, it's like, I mean, the hairs are nice, so you could probably use the hairs, but, you know. So, let's talk about what else. I kind of, I wasn't too fond of Cass. I would have liked to see more swatches on them. A lot of the swatches we got were very, like, I don't know. There were a lot of, like, beiges and murky blues and murky purples and, I don't know, murky greens. It was just, like, a very, I didn't really like the color palette. It's okay, like, but I would have liked to see some just plain blacks, plain whites, even some fun colors, some patterns, and stuff like that. And there were some items that only had one swatch or maybe two, and it's like, really? And I understand. Like, I feel like part of that's not even EA's fault this time, because, like, I imagine Disney has copyrights on some of these outfits that's from the Star Wars series, so they probably were like, no, you can't put fun colors on, I don't know, Kylo Ren's outfit. Like, you can't do that. We don't want a pink stormtrooper. I don't know. So, I just felt like it was kind of like, I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. The other one that I was really not a fan of were the alien kind of masks. Like, okay, don't get me wrong. They were awesome. They looked really good. They were detailed. They were 10 out of 10. Like, they looked awesome. But they were like accessories and not a face. Like, like face details, and I'm like, ugh, that's kind of like annoying. And like, it would have been nice to have like something like, you know, how you've got like the vampire teeth and vampire eye stuff. It would have been nice to have like, even if they added in like fantasy masks or something, and so that way they could put more stuff in there later on and have like a fantasy section, and they could like probably put like, I don't know, werewolf ears or elf ears or something in there later on, and have it like, I don't know, just as like a thing. And the only other thing I was really disappointed about with these masks is that they weren't enabled for all ages. So if you were playing as a family that was like those weird tentacle face thingies, I don't know, maybe you wanted to play as a family of them. I didn't, but maybe you did. You couldn't actually, like, if your Sims had babies, or I understand the object baby not looking like the tentacle face, but the toddlers and the kids can't actually look like that, so they're not enabled for all ages, and that just really ruins my immersion, because, like, you know, you have, like, these cool aliens, and they're, like, really fun and stuff, and then, like, you just can't play with them, because, like, I mean, you can, but, like, if you have babies with them, you can't really progress, because they look like normal Sims until they're teenagers, and it just, I don't know, it ruins my immersion, and I don't like it. I just feel like it's really unfair for people who wanted to play with those and progress them as like a little family of tentacle faces. Like, they should be enabled for everyone, so that everyone can have tentacle face babies if that's what they want, because this is a sandbox game and we should be able to do what we want. And EA is meant to give us the tools to do that, and I feel really passionate about it. Okay, but that's my piece on that one. That's one of my main gripes with the pack, so okay, calm down. So next, I'm going to talk about the build and the buy. I really liked the items. I really like the industrial vibe, and I think a lot of the items do work really well with some of the other packs, like the eco lifestyle, the DJ kind of industrial stuff from the get together, and also the get to work stuff. So I think they work well with those, but, you know, some of the items are, again, quite specific, kind of like the cast. Like, you might not use it outside of Batuu, which is a little bit disappointing, because like it, but at least the build, like I said, like with those examples, it could at least be used on some occasion outside of Batuu. So I think that's a positive. My only other thing with build, I really wanted to point out that they've added a curved or a rounded bar in this pack, and I think that's really cool, and I'd like to see some more of them, but I don't know, I feel like if they add more in now, people won't buy Batuu, because it'll be like, yeah, no, you have to buy that pack to get the curved bar, but otherwise it's like, that's probably one of the only items you could use in another pack, but you know. So, next on my list is the world. I want to talk about, like, the aesthetic. So, the world looks stunning. The backdrop, the vibe, the lighting, the skybox, for all three districts was really great. It looked cool. It was, I don't know, it was fun. So now to kind of the downsides of the world. There's not actually any lots in Batuu for you to build on, which, I mean, so yeah, you can use the cheat to build a bar on the Olga's Calatane's lot, and you can also rebuild the Resistance and First Order headquarters, but other than that, it's just like there's nothing really like that you can do, and so it's kind of a bit disappointing. I don't know, I would have liked to maybe see a 4th district in Batuu, to have like a residential district where you could have some lots that your Sims could build and maybe buy a vacation home, or you could have like even an apartment block in the Black Spy Outpost, which is like the Scoundrels base area, which was like, you know, you could at least build in a little apartment and stuff, and it wasn't just all a rabbit hole. I think that would have been fun. Would have been just nice to have something to call your own there and modify, I guess, whereas everyone's stuck with the same kind of presets, and it's like, Like, I mean, they all looked really good, but it was still very, it's a sandbox game, and I feel like when you limit what players can do in the sandbox, it's just not a good move. Like, I feel like it kind of takes that kind of creativity you get away from. I don't know. I didn't like it. It just didn't sit right with me. And I kind of understand why they did it, but I also kind of don't. And it's like, oh, I don't know. So I'm a bit on the fence about that. I would have liked to see somewhere that we could build and call our own even. I don't know, but I would have liked to see something. So now let's talk about the gameplay. Heck yeah. So I actually wrote quite a bit in the gameplay. It's probably the section I wrote the most about. It's probably about the size of like the top 2 sections that I already spoke about. So I'm going to start off with the little things first. You can fight with lightsabers, which is kind of fun, especially if you're like a Star Wars fan, because I imagine you can live out all your Star Wars fantasies of having lightsaber battles and stuff like that. And you can also have some droids. They follow you around. They're kind of cute. They beep at you. They can play music, and you can use them on some of the missions that you do, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So, other than that, those were the only real, like, little gameplay items that we got. So now onto the more bigger stuff with how the gameplay actually works when you're in Batuu. So the way it's set up is the gameplay and the world is divided into 3 different factions. So you've got the Resistance, which are kind of like the good guys. Then you've got the First Order, which are the bad guys. In theory, I mean, I don't know. And then you've got the Scoundrels who are kind of like a neutral party. They're like space pirates, and they're my favorite. I've got a thing for pirates, especially space pirates. So your Sims can join either the Resistance or the First Order. You can't be part of both. So if you're doing Resistance missions, you're going to have minuses in the friendship with the First Order and vice versa. And then I think you can also be a part of the Scoundrels and then one of the other, like, 2 main good-bad factions. So I think that's a thing. I don't know. I had separate Sims do it, so I'm not quite sure. But, yeah. And each of these kind of factions have a different progression rate. So you start off as, like, a pleb, and then you can work your way up to rank 5. And so progression works is you're given missions, which are very similar to, like, quests. They're, like, little jobs for you to do, kind of like daily tasks. And if you were like working from home, it's kind of like that kind of vibe, I guess. And you're given your missions from the faction leader, and they're kind of cool. So the missions do have some variety. They kind of vary from sneaking around, breaking into stuff, talking to different Sims, and flying your spaceship around. So I want to point out here quickly that I know flying your spaceship around sounds really cool, but it's not as cool as you think it is. I mean, it's cool, but you don't really get to see anything apart from it take off, which is how I feel like cars would be if we got them in The Sims 4. So I just want to point that out there, that they're really not that exciting, and we probably don't need cars. But anyways, everyone's like, unfollow, unsubscribe, we want cars. I don't want cars. It's just, like, gonna take my Sims longer to get to work. Oh, but anyways, but yeah, so the spaceship, you don't actually get to fly it around, you don't get to control it. It goes up in the air, and then your Sim is presented with a chance card to say, like, okay, what planet do you want to fly to? What do you want to do? Do you want to interact with the locals, or do you want to go for a swim? If you've got high enough swimming skill, you know, you might be able to find a shiny rock or something at the bottom of the lake. And so that you get that sort of stuff. You can buy some materials when you're out there. You can, depending on if you've maybe got like a pistol in your inventory, you might get a different interaction to someone who doesn't have a pistol in their inventory. So you get that kind of chance, and it's kind of fun and interesting. I quite liked the chance cards. Some of them can get a little bit repetitive though, especially if you're trying to like grind out your rank levels. So you're trying to do as many missions as you can. They're really quick to do. So if you just keep on doing them, it's like, okay, well, I've done all the options and all the different ways to do it. So it's just like, I don't know. So that's kind of like, I mean, they're a bit limited is what I'm trying to say, I guess. But yeah, for the most part, I really enjoyed the missions that were available. You know, I thought it was fun. The only kind of problem I had with the missions is I was finding fairly frequently I was getting stuck. Specifically with the resistance missions, I was just finding like the instructions weren't clear and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know where to look. I didn't want to know what to click on next. I was doing things like I was following the order, like starting at the top, working at the bottom, but then some of the times you had to like do the middle mission first, like on your task list, and then you could do the first one, and it was just like, it was kind of out of order and it didn't make sense. It didn't flow properly and it was just like, what's going on? I don't know what to do. I think at one point I spent about 5-10 minutes looking around for what to click in the video, and then I spent another 5-10 minutes, like I did a cut because I'm like, this is getting ridiculous, guys. I can't find where to click. And I spent another 5-10 minutes like clicking on absolutely everything I could find in the whole map, and I still couldn't find it. And I was like, okay. And so I Googled it and I finally found out what it was. So I probably spent 20 minutes on trying to find out what thing I was supposed to click on. Like, I feel like they could have added like a little question mark button next to it, so you could, like, if you didn't know, it would highlight the item like orange for you, like how it does sometimes. So I really struggled with some of the missions, and so I just felt like they weren't very intuitive. But yeah, overall, I did think it was pretty fun gameplay. And you could probably have some replayability value to it. And yeah, I don't know. I did get stuck fairly frequently. That could just be a me issue. I don't know, but I got stuck fairly frequently. So I need to breathe though. I was talking too much and not breathing. But anyways, next is my last kind of thing, which is, it doesn't really fit into anything, but I really wanted to touch onto it because it's my other major kind of issues with the game, like, well, the game pack. So my first real issue, like I mentioned, was the alien masks that had the accessories, and they weren't enabled for all ages, so you couldn't have little tentacle face babies if you wanted to. So these are like, they're not specifically cast related, they're not build, but they're issues that I feel like I need to mention. So my first kind of issue with these ones are, so it's a vacation world, which is fine, but it really doesn't work very well with kids because, like, the kids can't go to school, the kids can't, probably can't work on their skills because there's no skill building objects around. There's, like, absolutely nothing for the kids to do, and they can't progress at school, they can't do anything. So I feel like that's a bit of a point for me. And again, kind of following on from that, my second real issue with the pack is just the general lack of progression in the real world. So Batuu has a currency that is not simoleons, and I think that's a great idea. It's kind of fun. It forces you to actually engage with the content instead of just going there on your legacy family that has 10 million simoleons and can just buy anything and everything. So I like that they have a separate currency, but I wish that there was a way to convert the Batuu currency into simoleons, because so here's my kind of example as to why I think we should have something that allows us to convert it. So it took me about 2 or 3 sim weeks to get to max rank on 2 different factions, which, most people will probably do. They'll probably do the scoundrels and then either the bad guys or the good guys. So that's pretty normal. And so normally this isn't like a big kind of deal, but the problem is that it took about 2 to 3 weeks, or normal lifespan is half of a young adult life sim, like their life stage. So you've lost half of their life, and they've not earned any money at all. They've not progressed at all in their job, so they're not getting the pay that they should be. And they've not progressed at all really in their sims. They might have picked up a bit of stuff, but not much at all really. So it doesn't, I find, work very well with standard gameplay, because like the kind of other options you would have, like, okay, I'm going to compare it to Jungle Adventures right now. So if you spent 2 to 3 weeks doing the Jungle Adventures aspiration, you would have gotten plants, you would have gotten relics you could sell, and you would have, while you wouldn't have had a job, you would have made a decent amount of money, and you could start at an entry-level job and it would be fine. Your sim would have enough money to pay the bills on a regular basis and live in a nice house, and you would have had that upgrade. Whereas with Batuu, you don't have anything to show for what you've got. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, I just feel like it's not very good for standard gameplay unless you want to turn aging off, and it just doesn't work. I don't know what else to say, and it just doesn't work right for me, the progression, so with like normal gameplay. But I've probably rambled for far too long now, so I'm going to get to my conclusion. So, would I recommend this pack to buy? Kind of. I have a couple things to say about that. So before you buy, I'd really suggest having a good think about if you use the build mode items, because I find the build mode items are probably the most versatile in the pack. The creator sim, not so much. I mean, the hairs are nice, but you can do without an extra 3 hairs or however many they give us. But if you think you will, like, do you play a lot of sci-fi themed gameplay? Do you do a lot of fantasy? Do you like industrial builds? Do you play a lot in Evergreen Harbor? If you answered yes, then maybe that might work. I mean, you could also use it if your sim, you have a lot of geek sims, and you could put a lot of that sort of stuff into the house. But if you answered, like, so if you answered yes to any of those and you, like, thought about it, I would say, yeah, pick it up on sale. I wouldn't recommend paying full price for it. And if you said no to any of those things and you really don't think you're going to use build mode, I would recommend passing on the pack, because I just don't think it adds enough to overall gameplay to justify the price tag, and I don't think the items are that great. They're all well made, but they're not versatile, and they can't be applied to situations outside of Batuu, so I would not recommend it on that basis. But if you do play with sims that are, like I said, in those previous kind of categories, maybe pick it up on sale. Those are my recommendations. So, I mean, I don't dislike it, but I feel like for most people, it will not be worth the full price tag, and I can't honestly recommend it because I had fun with it. That's just the bottom line, guys, is I can't recommend it without having a guilty conscience. So anyways, that is it for now. So thank you so much for sticking with this series. It really means a lot to me, especially because I know this pack was not a, I guess, fan favorite. It got a lot of criticism. I think I probably saw more criticism about this pack than I did my first pet stuff pack, so let's say it's something. But yes, so we will be starting Generation 6 of my expansion pack Legacy when the Snowy Escape comes out. So if you didn't know, and this is like your first video watching of mine, I have an expansion pack Legacy, and so each time a expansion pack and sometimes a game pack comes out, I go through and I do a new generation of my Legacy, and we play through that expansion pack. So we'll be playing with, if you did watch this series, it's Ash's niece, Eve. We'll be playing with her in the Snowy Escape, and that'll be a lot of fun, I think. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and happy simming. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed the series, and I don't know, thank you so much, and I will see you all next time.